Welcome back and thanks very much for joining me. Today we're going to get straight into things. We've got these bad boys that have been sent out. Now, plenty of YouTubers have had stuff sent out from Banggood. However, I believe they've got one of their sales happening as of Monday the 10th. And so I wanted to show you these ones because I think what we've got here is some stuff that certainly may be worth looking into. First of all, we've got the Woodwork 300mm 30 centimetre square, and I like this a lot. There has been, while this part, the red part here is one piece, we do have a certain amount of adjustability with the black parts of the handles just to make sure that it is square, but this I've found to be perfectly square in my testing, and as such I've been really happy with. Now this bad boy is coming out at about £10.24 at the moment. I don't know if that's different when it comes to the sale, but you can see that I've got glue all over it and all sorts because I've been using it a lot. We've got a nice solid aluminium handle giving us some weight, but to stop the whole thing tipping, what we've got is this little ledge at the bottom down here, and that makes sure that that can rest on top of whatever you're what you're showing, and that'll make sure it doesn't drop down like that. We'll do a little test on the squareness of it in a second, but yeah, this is just to give you an overview of what we're looking at, and yeah, I've been pretty happy with this one. The other thing is that we do have these sections on the inside here, and so if you've got a nice sharp pencil, that can go in there, and you can mark where you need to mark on wood, but it does have to be a nice and sharp pencil because these holes are pretty small. But that's that. Like I say, we'll look at the squareness of that in a moment. Next, we've got the Woodwork 600mm monster. Now, this is really helpful. They do these in like 300, 600, 800 and 1000mm, I believe. But this 600 has been great because when I'm doing things like cupboards and cupboard doors and such, this has been really helpful. I really wish I'd have had this when I did my kitchen at the start of last year or early last year. I didn't, but this would have made life a lot easier. Again, when it arrives, I think when it arrives you have to put these 4 screws in, but they sit where they're nicely captured. The red part is captured in the black bit, so there isn't any movement. And again, we'll test squareness on this in a moment, but I found it to be perfectly adequate. Now this is coming in at under £30 at the moment. Again, don't know if that's going to be different when the sale hits, or if it's the sale pricing that I've got, but again, you can see that this is a bit battered around because I've been using this rather a lot. Now, after that, we've got this. Now, this is something that comes in at £16, and I honestly think everyone with the table saw should have one. Now, I have previous versions that I've made. That was the first one that I made, and then I made one like that. And once I'd had these, I then was lucky enough to be sent, oh, just headbutt the camera, was to be sent this. And for 16 quid, I think this is an absolute bargain. Again, I'll show you how it works in a moment, but this is to help make sure that your blade is parallel to your mitre slots, which in turn means the fences and all that sort of stuff. You can test all of that with this little bad boy. However, this does only work for normal size mitre slots. It doesn't work for sort of smaller ones. So if you've got an unusual size mitre slot, you may have to double check that. But I'll show you how that works in a moment. What you will be able to see though is we do have these little balls on the inside here, and what these do is they show, or they help you get a nice tight fit with your mitre slot, and are adjustable underneath. Now you can take this bar off and replace it with your own if you really wanted to, if you still wanted to keep everything else as such. But yeah, we'll look at this and how this works in a moment. It is very delicate. Finally, we've got these clamps. Now, I haven't used these before, and I was interested in these because I've seen a lot of people on YouTube, funnily enough, use them. Now, these are coming in, I think, about 20 quid for the pair at the moment, and these basically work with being able to go down into a hole or use as a guide rail clamp. On it goes, and then squeeze it in, and we are solid. We've got a button there to undo it. Now this top that I've got is relatively thin, but as you can see, it just about manages to get in and out of my clamps, in and out of my dog holes. I would imagine they're about an inch and a quarter thick, something like that. But the way it works is simply you squeeze that puts pressure on those. There's lots of nice solid locks, and then this button releases it again for movement. I have found this to be really, really helpful. Rather than a squeeze clamp where you're squeezing or like multiple squeezes, and with like regular clamps that you got to twist in, especially when my hands aren't doing so well, these have been really, really useful and have come in very, very handy. But let's just check the squareness of those other things. Right, so this is a piece of wood. It's basically a cupboard door. It's all finished, it's all square, and we will use that to test this. Now, as you can see on the bottom here, I'm using this piece to stop that from just dropping down. That sits on there like so, and we can go a nice solid line on the outside, and we'll flick it over, and whoops, we'll make sure that that's on there nice and flat again. And there we go. And that to me looks fairly dead on. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit. There we go. So that is a nice and accurate line going on there. What we'll do is, I'll zoom back out. We'll go on the inside this time. And again, I can't see much deviation between those two lines at all. So I'm more than happy with that for anything I could want to do with it, particularly when it comes woodworking wise. This bit of wood isn't quite big enough for the full mashings on the 600, but you'll have to sort of trust me that I've got it up against the edge on the bottom here, and we will go all the way down there like so. And then I'll test the other side. We'll go all the way down there like so. And again, our middle line there is absolutely bang on. And as we now know that this one is square, we can pop these together and ensure that there is absolutely no movement or no light coming through underneath, which there isn't. So yeah, as far as squareness goes, these two rock. As far as this goes, like I said, I think everybody with the table saw should have one of these. I've made sure that it fits snugly in my mitre slots, and then we undo that one and we take this out to just about where it starts touching the gauge there. You might have seen that I've just moved that gauge just a touch, which I will lock in place, and then we can move this top ring around to the 0. And once we've done that, we can then make sure that we use this same spot on the saw but over here, and we can measure to make sure that that's still pretty much around the 0. Let me just check. Yeah, that's doing it from behind the camera, so it's a bit more awkward. So we're going to move that over to there, and we'll move that around there. So there we can see with mine, we are very, very close to the 0 still. I'm pretty happy with that. I could finagle it a touch more to get this a little tiny bit straighter, but at the end of the day, this Evolution is a job site saw, so it might be hard to get it even more accurate. But that is the use case number 1 for it. What we can do, like we've just done, is check our fence as well. So we're going to make sure that we get that just a little bit of pressure on the gauge like so. I haven't got to adjust that because that's where the 0 is on the bottom there, which you can't quite see. There you go, bosh, like that. And so now I'm just going to move this up and see if there's any movement in the fence, and you can see that if I take this up, there is a bit of adjustment I need to do on my on my table saw fence, because this is actually coming in. It was on 0 and it's coming in that much, so we do need to do just a little adjustment on there to make sure that everything is running perfectly straight. But yeah, that's how that works. And so that's about it. I'm trying to keep this one short and sweet for you guys. Basically, this I found to be super useful if you're doing things like I said, cupboard doors or anything along those lines. Is it an essential for a woodworker to have one of these? No, but it does make life a lot easier if you are doing those sort of larger scale items. When it comes to the square, I found this to be spot on. I like it. I like it a lot. I have got a couple more expensive squares, which I will show you in another video, but this does a grand job. The aluminium gives it sort of a reassuring weighty feel. I don't even know if it is aluminium in the sort of the tailstock here, because it's quite I say it's quite weighty. It feels quite solid, but the blade here, that doesn't feel overly heavy or anything along those lines. It's accurate and it does what it says on the tin, so I like that, and it's nice to know that I can count on a square. But like I say, I do have others as well. These have been incredibly useful. I didn't realise how helpful they would be for me particularly. You can use them on tracks, you can use them on your MFT, you can use them just as regular clamps. But the very fact that you can just clamp down on something and then just pull that in just makes life a lot easier for me. So that I think is great. Now, these often come out with decent pricing on Banggood. When I've looked in the UK on things like Amazon and stuff, they sort of vary, and they vary quality wise as well. Now, you'll notice that I think all of these are Enjoy Wood. I don't know. I've got a feeling the clamps might be as well, because the Enjoy Wood brand does seem to have come out with some really good stuff. So yeah, it's a nice solid quality. And with regards to this, like I said, if you've got a table saw, I think whether you make your own or you just go, well, it's only 16 quid, I'm going to go and buy one, I think that's a valid idea, because making sure that your table saw is set up properly is absolutely paramount. And I can guarantee a lot of people don't do things like just regular upkeep and checking of the blade straightness and all that sort of jazz. So you might set everything up brilliantly to start with, but over years, and especially if you move your saw around, in my workshop refurb recently, that's been moved around a lot, which is why the fence is probably just a touch out at the moment. But I wouldn't have known it if I hadn't have done this. And so, you know, it's from a safety point of view, being able to get something like that, I think is really, really important. What I'll do is I'll leave links down below. Honestly, I don't know if they're affiliate links or just links that Banggood give me. I will put them down below and let you know whether they're affiliate or not. Affiliate doesn't cost you anything else. It just means that the channel gets a little bit of a kickback, not very much. But to allay anyone's fears, if you get these and you find that they're crap, then you're going to tell people, obviously, aren't you? So, you know, I don't think they're crap. I think they're very, very good, and I like them a lot, and they're certainly accurate enough for what I do in my little workshop. So I hope this has helped. Yeah. If you've got any questions, do let me know in the comments, and I'll see you very, very soon. Okay, bye-bye.